Welcome back. This is the fourth study session of MKT 316. This video lecture is going to be about effective communication. The fundamental requirement of any business is to be able to communicate with customer. A manager has to communicate effectively with all the people in his team or within his control, as well as managers of other departments or teams. Similarly, subordinates who find it difficult to communicate will always be at a disadvantage within their working environments. Therefore, learning to communicate effectively has become a vital requirement of a successful business. On completion of this study session, you should be able to discuss what communication is in an organization. You should be able to differentiate one-way and two-way communication. You should be able to explain different types of communication. And finally, you should be able to discuss how to make communication effective. Now let's get it started. Communication in an organization. Communicating is a two-way process which requires the basic elements of speaking, listening, reading, and writing. One could say that communication takes place when messages of various kinds are sent and received. So the communication process involves senders and receivers of messages. There are several mediums that can be used to send message to the receiver. We have the verbal medium, letter, fax, telephone, electronic mail, and so on and so forth. Although a message may be transmitted, there is no guarantee that the receiver will get the message. The receiver also needs skills such as being able to listen and concentrate and be able to interpret. There can be other barriers to effective communication. This includes language problems. The sender may have already got preset view and is not prepared to listen. We have cultural differences. Too long or technical message may not be properly understood, and we have a concentration issue also. Now, one-way and two-way communication. One-way communication is used when there is no immediate response to the message that is being sent, whereas a two-way communication requires an interaction between the receiver and the sender. Many large organizations will communicate with their staff by means of a regular newsletter. Although some staff will respond and write to the editor, others will regard it as a one-way communication and so they will not respond. Such means of communication may help to motivate employees, improve teamwork, and make staff feel as part of an organization. Other one-way communication systems include signs, notice, press announcements, and so on and so forth. It is basically to inform the public at large or a segment of the public where individual communication will be too costly and time consuming. On the other hand, two-way communication generally takes place between an organization and its customers. Everybody working in an organization at a point in time will have to make contact with the customer. This can be face-to-face or over the telephone or in writing. So staff will need to know how to communicate with customer and use different skills in different situations. Sometimes it may require the staff to use one-way communication and other time two-way communication. Types of communication system used by an organization. The type of communication system used will depend on the volume, type, and nature of information that needs to be transmitted. It will also depend on whether the communication needs to be internal or external. Many times when people think of the word communication, they think of an exchange of information and ideas through words. The following are some of the different methods of communication that are commonly used within the workplace. The first one is verbal communication. This means to talk, that's speaking. This can be done one-on-one, in a group setting, over the phone, and so on and so forth. Verbal communication is a personal means of communication and should be utilized more than just email or phone calls when possible. The second one is non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication play a large role in a way of communication with other people. However, you probably don't want to rely on it as your sole means of communication. Your gesture, eye contact and movement and the way you stand and sit all convey a message to the person you are communicating with. It is very important to use appropriate gesture when communicating. The third type of communication is written. You can't avoid written communication in the workplace. It is everywhere. Emails, memos, reports, and other written documents are all part of everyday business life. Written communication is the most appropriate when detailed instructions are required, when something needs to be documented, or when the person is too far away to easily speak with over the phone or in person. So it is important to note these major types of communication system within an organization. Effective communication with customer. In order to have effective communication with your customer, it is important to note the following. Number one, don't sound anxious. Don't get impatient. Be enthusiastic and encouraging. The first one, be sincere and genuine and do sound caring. It is very important for you to let your customer know that you care about their feelings. Be confident in your delivery. Try to avoid using the word but as it may qualify all other words used previously in a sentence. Use positive words such as we can, we will. Then avoid using red flag words. These are words or phrases that cause a negative reaction with customers. For example, it is not my job, I don't know. Always use the words such as normally, we, I will find out, or I'm going to do this about the problem you encountered. Use the word we and not you. Written communication is just as important as verbal or non-verbal communication. You can't take back what you have said, but you always can take back what you have written. We have come to the end of this study session. You can read through your study pack to complement your knowledge about the subject discussed in this video. Thank you for listening. See you in the next class.